This forecast, I'm going to be going into the next couple of days. Going to keep it a little short for both days, just to keep it timely. So, starting off with Saturday's background environment. This is Saturday morning. Here is a shortwave trough that is going to influence the weather over the next couple of days. So that's going to be stacking back over the near the Pacific and going down to 850 millibars. That is what we're seeing way out here. It's really far. That's how the environment works. It stacks back. So having a stronger low level jet from the southwest. If it was more southerly in the day or in the morning, then that would help with generating a lot more convective activity in the afternoon time. But it's going to start shifting a little more southerly as we go on through the day. Like I said, yeah, here's more in the afternoon. It's a southwesterly flow. It's relatively it could be stronger, but it is relatively strong compared to the rest of the nation, where everything is like between like 15, 20 knots. Here's 30, 35, stuff like that. So that's what's going to be influencing Saturday. If we go into Sunday's environment, background environment, it's more of the same pattern. We have that trough that's moving slightly more northeast, and that's going to be influencing the region a bit more. Jumping back down to the low level jet, having that same southwesterly pattern. The low level jet is more widespread in its strength. It's not as in it's still the same intensity, just more widespread. So that might help push some more moisture into the area. With the background environment out of the way for both days, going to start focusing in on Sunday. This is around late afternoon and the evening time. So here's around 7 p.m. the at 500 millibars, and then here is just 3 hours later. Maintains relatively the same strength, looking at between like 20 and 35 knots. So let's go back to the afternoon, jump down to 850 millibars. Here is the low level jet. It's more centralized over eastern Oklahoma, but then we go ahead 3 hours. This is at 10 p.m. Really ramps up in North Texas and into central Oklahoma. And that's what's going to help with the 5% tornado threat that SPC has issued for day two. Here's the environment, the point-based sounding. There's a bit of an inversion right here. I think it's just due to being nighttime and having some residual moisture in the area, helping cool down the atmosphere. So if this doesn't play out like this, then we could have more tornadoes in the evening time. Based off this is wind profile right here, we have a southeasterly wind, and that shifts quite dramatically to west northwest up at the upper levels. So having that really strong shear is helpful for generating that rotation in the environment needed to produce supercells. Here's what the euro is showing at 500 millibars. It's a similar pattern, more widespread in the strength. Still pretty weak though, so we could just get some like pulse severe storms. But what is happening at 850 is what catches my eye. We have a stronger low level jet based off of the Euro model, and it really intensifies later on into the late evening time hours into the early morning. So when everyone's asleep, that's what's concerning for me. We have a stronger low level jet, and it is also more widespread and intense. So that might help with generating some more widespread severe weather of some type. I'm not exactly too sure if it'll be tornadoes, but as of right now, I will say all hazards do seem possible with this setup. Now looking at the surface-based cape from GFS, it is pairing up pretty well with the peak daytime heating, having very strong surface-based cape. I'm very adamant about this. I do not believe that the actual cape values will be this high because surface-based cape does not account for the low-level mixing that happens with just winds in general. Let's take a look at the center of that. The sounding is looking pretty favorable for severe weather to occur. As you can see, the possible hazard type is a marginal tornado based off of the sounding. And that is because of the vertical wind profile having the south-southeasterly wind flow and then veering with height to a westerly wind pattern. What I would like to see with this is more of a uniform shift from southeast, and then more like a southwest pattern, west southwest pattern at 500 millibars, and then due west farther up in the 300 to 200 millibar region. But right now, this is looking good for a severe weather pattern to occur, especially with the significant hail parameter being 2.0. That's an indicator of mine that I like to look at to help signify if there is a hail threat with this type of setup, which looking at this, there is. Now pairing the surface-based cape with the mid-level lapse rates, which is very important for storm development. We have some relatively high lapse rates, 7.1, 7.6 in that region. This right here just looks like it's part of a cell that's developed based on the models. So I would say between 7 and 8 degrees Celsius per kilometer is what we will be seeing in central Oklahoma for Sunday. And that's really going to help with, like I said, that storm development, generating some severe weather hazards. Something that is important to look at too, which I haven't brought up in my previous forecast, is the lifted index. And what that is pretty much, let me click on a sounding and show you. So this dotted line right here is the temperature of the air parcel that it takes. And it's also the path that it takes. And it shows how hot it is or how cold it is compared to the background environment. So if you go to 500 millibars, this right here is the temperature of the air parcel. We go down this blue line right here. This is the temperature of the environment at that level. So this looks like it's about 1 degree Celsius, maybe a little bit less. So at that level, 1 degree Celsius, and then we go here. This is the temperature of the background environment, which is negative 10 degrees Celsius. So looking at this, the lifted index, which is right here, the surface-based lifted index is minus 11 degrees Celsius, and that is a very favorable environment for severe weather to occur. And the reason for that is because the temperature of the air parcel is much warmer than the background environment, and so that will help with generating a lot more condensation of the clouds and just more rapid development of any severe weather to occur. Bulk shear with GFS has between 35 and 45 knots of wind shear, which is favorable for supercells to occur. We need to have a good indicator is anything above 35 knots, which we do have. So that is another indicator of mine that tells me there's going to be supercells possible in this environment. With the storm relative helicity, we have very robust numbers showing with between 400 and 500 meters per second squared. And like I've said in my previous forecasts, for surface to 3 kilometer above ground level SRH, a good indicator is anything above 250, which this is well above that. Let's take a look here. Still having a marginal tornado possible hazard type. This looks like this is a sounding within a cell of some type. Maybe just because it's later in the day, in the evening time, closer to the evening time anyways. There's this temperature inversion happening, so we could have some elevated thunderstorms to occur in the evening time as well, which that's pretty typical with setups like this in the southern plains. The supercell or the thunderstorms are surface based in that early afternoon, and they become more high based as there's this temperature inversion that occurs with nocturnal cooling. Due to keeping this timely, I'm just gonna look at the Euro model surface to 500 millibar bulk shear. It is a lot stronger and more perpendicular to the southerly wind pattern at the surface. So between 40 and 50 knots is even more favorable for a supercell to develop that could develop a tornado or maybe a very large hail. That is another good indicator of mine that it gives me more confidence anyways that severe weather can be in play for central Oklahoma on Saturday. With all those factors put together, looking at the supercell composite for 7 p.m. on Saturday, there is a very, very high supercell composite being shown just west of the Oklahoma City metro area, west of Stillwater, that general area right here. Don't take this as gospel. It could be a little bit further east or further west, maybe even further north or south. Just depends on the track that the surface low takes, and we won't know that until the day of when we get some real-time data to occur. But this right here is a really strong signal that we have severe weather and play on Saturday evening or afternoon as well. Now looking into Sunday, the low level jet really ramps up in the early evening hours, late afternoon time frame, and the day 3 outlook that SPC has is in this general area right in here, pretty much just across Oklahoma City, moving into eastern Oklahoma and all the way down towards Wichita Falls. And there's also a significant severe chance that they have highlighted in this area right here. So digging into that, the low level jet is stronger in that area. It really picks up as we get into the evening time frame, starting to get more widespread and a little bit further east, between 30 and 40 knots, and then it really picks up in the early morning hours of Monday when everyone's asleep. So definitely keep aware of your environment as you're going to bed, and make sure you just have a good safety plan in place too. So going back to that evening time, let's take a look at the Cape levels. Really strong Cape in the magic hour around sunset. We got anything between 2,500 and 3,500 across all of Oklahoma. Going ahead a few hours really dies down just because daytime heating starts to lose its effect. So in general, this is a good sign for severe weather to be less severe as night goes on. This is closer to 10 p.m. We have still relatively strong Cape in this region, so something to keep an eye on for sure. Let's go back to when the fun stuff looks like it'll be really playing out. So we got relatively steep lapse rates across this area right here where SPC has it highlighted. That's really helpful with generating some severe weather to occur. Let's go here at the supercell composite. Again, a relatively high supercell composite based on the GFS. It's not as high as Sunday's threat looks like, but it's still a good indicator this early on that some sort of severe weather can play out. They have highlighted, SPC has highlighted winds, hail, and maybe a tornado or two that can't be ruled out. Let's show this sounding. This looks much better for tornado development. This is what I was talking about earlier. We want to have a more uniform turning with height. So we have that southeasterly wind flow at the surface, more of west-southwesterly at 500 millibars, and it's due west up at the upper levels. This looks almost classic, a classic vertical wind profile. The only thing that's making it not is the winds aren't increasing with height. Typically we'd want like, I don't know, like 15 knots at the surface, and then like 40 knots at 500 millibars, and then 55, 70 knots in that general area at the upper levels. So we don't have that. That's a good thing. We don't have that, because that will really be a factor that lowers the chance of tornadoes developing. We still got some relatively high SRH. It's above that 250 bar that I like to use. 324, yeah, still the same sounding. I don't know why I clicked on that. I just showed you. My bad. But yeah, we have that high SRH. We have the good vertical wind profile, with the only thing inhibiting much more upscale growth is the increasing winds with height. It's more uniform through the entire layer. So with all that said, there looks like there will be some severe weather chances, possibly some significant severe weather chances on Sunday and Monday afternoon into the evening time frame. So make sure you have your plan in place. You know where to go in case severe weather does hit, If there's hail, make sure you just stay inside. If there's tornadoes, then make sure you know where your storm shelter is, or where the most interior, the most walls covering that area in the center of your house is. Would probably be something like a closet or maybe like a bathroom or something. And if you're able to, and if you are really worried about severe weather, then you can even travel maybe a little bit further southeast. If like you're in central Oklahoma, maybe go down here, something like that. If you're able to, maybe even a little further northwest. But yeah, just if you feel comfortable with traveling out of the area, more than welcome to do that. It's all about safety, and if you feel that's what makes you the safest, then by all means, please do that. But if you feel like you're comfortable with just going to a storm shelter, that's okay too. Pretty much what I'm getting at is it's okay to do whatever it takes to make you feel safe. Be prepared instead of scared. If you're scared, then you're going to panic and you're going to cause a lot of unnecessary worry and stress on yourself, and you could do things that you typically wouldn't in a calmer mindset. So I hope this forecast helps out with making any decisions in terms of safety, and I'm hoping I can get a good chase in the next couple days while I'm out in Texas. I will be live streaming probably from either my page, Doodles Weather Updates, on Facebook, or also Tornado Tacklers on Facebook as well. Just depends on who all on the team is going to be streaming, and if I'm able to have the stream to myself like I did yesterday, then I will do that. But if not, then I'll be streaming from my Facebook page as well. So make sure you give that a follow if you haven't. Give my YouTube channel a like as well. Really helps with growing my page and just get my name out there for public safety. So thank you.